Some people I feel treat Santan Dave as the Kendrick Lamar of the UK, but I would personally argue that Sims is the Kendrick Lamar of the UK.
God save the king!
On July 3rd, British-Nigerian rapper Skepta tweeted, "I want to clash an American rapper anyway. Finally get this UK-US rap debate sorted." The tweet gained traction in the UK rap space, but not so much anywhere else in America, with the exception of a few articles from legacy music media. It's a shame actually because Skepta provided some interesting lineups such as Dave vs. Lil Wayne, Chip vs. Kendrick Lamar, Queenie vs. Megan Thee Stallion, or Central C vs. Jack Harlow. As Skepta and the rest of UK rap once more demand the respect of American hip-hop heads, one has to wonder which African descendants would win the great battle.
The punk band Bob Villain have said that they are being targeted for speaking up after their comments during a Glastonbury show were branded anti-Semitic.
Hip hop culture definitely does do the same thing in America as it does in the UK.
It's a rainy, freezing cold Friday night in London, and there are still lots of people out here waiting to perform on the street with DJ AG.
Jonah, if you was from the UK, fam, quiet, bro. Understand? But you make up the numbers out there and I respect it. So when I drop my diss track for Rocky, I'm going to give you 2 bars and then make one of the young Jesus rub you out.
I'm Sayou Cooper and this is The Griots, reporting on hip-hop culture through a mix of soapbox editorials, weird commercial breaks, and some very serious guests.
I just consider myself African, really. I'm Joe Jazz. I'll make music, rap, produce.
Both my parents are from Uganda, but from 2 different cities. I think it was about 3 hours apart.
Oh yeah, where am I located, man? I'm located in Babylon. I'm located in London, East London, to be specific.
I'm Kazz, stage name Kazz the Virgo, KTV, Kazz TV. I'm a rapper from the UK. Well, currently I'm based in Croydon right now.
My name is Ezra Olaoya, also go by ETP. In terms of what I do, I'm a storyteller. I like to connect the dots through stories, through narratives. I try to do that through whatever medium is calling me.
Ezra is a bit modest about his storytelling. In spring of this year, he wrote the cover story for Dazed and Confused magazine, detailing the underground artists leading the UK's rap revolution.
I was originally in Atlanta before, and then I moved over here with my pops because he's always been out in the UK. That's where he stayed. I moved here.
Croydon is very it's got a lot of personality around it. There's a lot of creativity that lies within it, and there's even quite a lot of rappers in the mainstream in the UK that have been flooding airwaves that are from Croydon, Stormzy, he's from Croydon. Dave is from Streatham, but that's sort of local-ish to Croydon because they're both in South London. You have Giggs, who's from Peckham, which is also local to Croydon.
Growing up, would you visit the UK, or this is your first time in the UK for a long period of time?
Oh yeah, back and forth always. Think most times he come, and then I feel I'm trying to remember. Then obviously I came here when I was probably early teens and shit. So I've had a big chunk here as well. So been a mixed match. But I feel at this point I probably had more time here, which is crazy.
If we talk diaspora specifically, I do think that there is sometimes that divide. I know with I've seen over the years sometimes, usually as a joke, there'll always be this war with Nigerians and Ghanaians or Zimbabweans with South Africans, and obviously some people will be joking, some people will be unironic, but those are usually I'd say some of the bigger examples. But in terms of with Black people as a whole, I think if there was a moment where everyone kind of had to come together, people would.
So I'm Nigerian Irish.
The Irish anti-immigrant movement has a champion.
from the world of mixed martial arts.
Conor McGregor, I'll vote for you, boy. I'll vote for you.
I was born in Dublin. My parents were originally Nigerian. They lived in London for a bit, but they gave birth to me in Dublin. I lived in London for a little bit as a child. Moved back to Dublin when I was like 7. Then I went to boarding school in Scotland from like 11 to 18. Then I went to university in England in like the Midlands. So like the middle of England.
The way it's like, I guess London is kind of set up is you have like the middle of London. So all your east, south, west, north, all of that junk. And then like, as soon as you like start going out, cause like London was smaller and then it kind of expanded. So, I think now there's like places that weren't in London before that encompass it. So I'm in Ilford right now, which is like, technically it's in Essex, which is like outside of London. It's like a county outside of London, but it's connected because like London has expanded.
When we think about the Black British identity, and people often say this, a lot of the time, that is kind of, that nucleus is kind of London.
One thing that we've had over here has always been the debate of, is it plantain or plantain?
It's like a real interesting one because like, obviously like when you're in America, it's like very like, yo, like you Black, you African American. And like here is like, obviously there's still like Black Africans like in America. And like, there's always been that thing, that kind of rift between like African Americans being Black Africans. People just like, but like out here, it's like most people claim where like their parents is from.
Hip hop culture definitely does like do the same thing in America as it does in the UK. A lot of the slang is very much comes from hip hop culture. But like, as far as it goes, it traces very much back to like Caribbean culture.
This one's a banger.
100 gallon and 98 and a 99 them for do the maths. Can man! DJ Limelight.
Carnival out here is super big. I think that's super London though. And I couldn't really speak to like outside of London, like what the Black British experience is there, because even I've been doing a tour and just going to different places, like so different. But in London, there's like all of these like signifiers that people will tell you like, I don't even know if this is, it's just like something you experience like in school, people selling cookies and stuff, people selling cookies, they selling donuts, Lucozade, that's like, it's like Gatorade.
As it pertains to culture, there are a lot of influences that come from the Caribbean, middle of the 20th century, early 2000s. But it's really interesting to me how that's kind of developed with time, wherein you have like 90s, early 2000s, a lot of Africans from the continent moved to the UK. And how does that shift what the culture is like?
The only ones I can think of is how people would like describe women, just because those would be like some of the biggest like pieces of slang that you would pick up on. Like at one point you would either describe a girl as buff or butters. Buff meaning like pretty and like gorgeous, whatever, then butters obviously meaning ugly. Then you would have peng, which was the new version of buff, and then they changed it to lang.
You will hear stories from people who are probably a bit older than me, and they'll tell you that when they were in school, these are Africans, they would pretend they were Jamaican, even though they're like Ghanaian or stuff like that. But I think that's really changed now.
It's such a melting pot of things that create like the culture, and it's like heavily influenced by like Black culture.
From NBC News in Washington, this is Meet the Press with David Gregory.
This is Democracy Now!
I'm Anthony Bourdain. That's right. I write, I travel.
Moi, mon plus grand regret, c'est d'avoir passé une bonne partie de ma jeunesse à écouter des radios comme RFI, France 24. J'ai été dans des pays où ces radios étaient fermées. Mais on prenait des applications, on enregistre leur journal pour écouter. Mais à partir d'un moment, il y a un déclic. Je commence à comprendre qu'ils conditionnent nos cerveaux pour accepter ce qu'eux ils veulent. C'est aussi leur narratif qu'ils veulent qu'on apprenne.
The Griot is funded by viewers like you. We recently launched our Patreon page where you can find more reporting and words that will never make it to our YouTube side. Most importantly, our paid Patreon members like Nigel allow us to create more consistent and timely episodes like the one you're watching now. The work is not easy, and as one of the few Black women leading and owning a hip-hop media platform, the historical data are not in my favor for success. If you love the platform and can't financially support, a like, comment, or even sharing this episode with a friend is just as great.
Oh, wow. This has me thinking of, I'm not sure if you saw it. There was a clip of Central C talking about the Nike Tech fleeces. And I can't remember what he said, but the way he said it kind of made it seem like he almost pioneered it.
Me, I'm humble in it, but at the same time, I like to think that man put like a lot of man onto the Nike Tech thing. You see the influence even in like America and that now. Like, people be rocking the techs like it's like they're us.
He, to me personally, doesn't amaze me because from the drill music that I've heard, I've kind of already heard a Central C or someone that's better.
He's huge because he's obviously crossed over as well. But like, there's only really like Central C is the only one on his level.
I feel like with Central C, his cadence matches a number of other rappers, or it's been similar to other rappers I've heard, like Lowski and like K-Trap.
He's really good at marketing himself. I think he's got a really good team. I think he's kind of said in one of his songs that he's been doing this for a long time. Like, he didn't just come out of nowhere. He has you can find videos of him like from when he was young.
Even though he's not necessarily drill, Skepta, I feel, deserves to be more of a UK ambassador for rap music than Central C, just because Skepta's been around for ages. Like, he is what would be considered like an old head, and like very much so part of like the foundation of grime. Like, when it comes to the history of grime, you can't leave out someone like Skepta. On top of that, he can still go out and perform and people will still go crazy. If Skepta was to announce that he's dropping an album this week, people will guarantee to like drop their stuff and actually listen to that album on that Friday that it drops.
His music's not really the type of stuff I listen to generally, but there's some stuff I can rock with. How do I feel about him being kind of like the face? That's kind of was your question. Representative. I don't know. Well, how do I feel? I don't know. It raises questions to me.
I think me and my homie, we compared like charts. So like the UK charts and like obviously the Billboard, because you always get like shoved down with the Billboard no matter where you are. And like, it's interesting to see so much like hip hop in the Billboard. And then you come to the UK charts and it's like maybe one or two. And then there's like all these like indie bands and like singers, like pop singers that kind of dominate like the top half.
Granted, I feel like there's some artists that you could probably pick out that are mainstream, and then I feel everyone else is kind of more so you would have to be in the know, and you'd really have to like love that style of like hip hop. Like some examples would be like, again, Stormzy, Dave, Gigs, Skepta, like those kind of rappers, DWE, Wretch 32, like those are like some of like the mainstream rappers that you get. Some of these guys are like OGs, some of them kind of started around like early mid 2010s. And then obviously you have like your Central C's, and you have like a few other rappers like H and Hardy, Tion Wayne, Russ Millions.
Here also it's like super different because when you're in London, everything can feel so different just because of how multicultural it is. And when you go to these different places, it still leaks out there, but it's not the same.
I don't know how people would take this, but some people I feel treat Santan Dave as the Kendrick Lamar of the UK, but I would personally argue that Sims is the Kendrick Lamar of the UK to me personally.
If you're in it, you feel it, and it's like one of the biggest things. But I think as like huge mainstream, only a few names can leak out. So I think that's why there isn't like an equivalent to like a Drake or a Kendrick like out here, because no one's like, even the biggest aren't that big.
Like if you were to gather up all of like the UK rappers that are like relevant today, there's no one really that you can compare her to. She's in her own lane.
But I think in popular culture, and you've probably been aware of this, you've seen a lot of people really emphasize this idea of Black British, whether it's like Jim Legacy with his upcoming project like Black British Music, or whether it's like people adorning themselves with the British flag.
Lil Sims dropped her album Lotus, which was like a really great follow-up from her last, at least I would personally call it like her last like proper album, No Thank You. And then Loyal Kana came back after about, I think, a 3-year hiatus with a new album called Hopefully, which was like more in like the lo-fi sound of like hip hop. And it was still kind of his style, but he kind of started taking it to a different place, which was more like he was singing a bit more, and it felt there was more like live instrumentation that was used. And though those releases are great, and there are probably a couple of other UK releases that I'm not remembering or like keeping in mind, I still think that it's kind of been a bit of like a slow year, just because I think people are obviously either trying to recover, or people are probably like still trying to like ride the train of like the hype of their last projects.
Next up, Ezra, Joe, and Kazz discuss UK rap's underground scene and the ups and downs of the artist's life. But first, we take a trip to the EU to meet Oquan, a longtime supporter of the griots who's essentially been here since our YouTube launch. A multi-hyphen artist for sure, but he's also just a hip-hop head.
Hi, my name is Oquan. I'm a dancer.
Walk it like I talk it, walk it.
A rapper, illustrator, and 3D artist. A little about my backstory. My parents came from Kenya to Switzerland, so I grew up there. The computer geek, so pretty early in my life, I came in contact with digital media and softwares. Then Cartoon Network inspired me to pick up drawing animation. And because I had access to the old computer of my dad, I really fell in love with learning new softwares and everything that came with it. I didn't think I could make this career, so I started an apprenticeship. I didn't want to do it after 2 years, so I dropped out and gave my art journey a try. I ended up in a media company where I gained some 3D skills. But with time, I felt my art seemed lifeless. So I took a break of the digital world and started to focus on my sketchbook and got my spark back. A year ago, I started rapping and producing, combining all the skills.
Egal ob stift digital oder mental, ein ehrenwürdiger Content. Zusammen wie ein Tandem, Ringwanden.
And this gave me new motivation to make even bigger and bolder projects. If you're interested, it would be cool if you follow my art journey on Instagram.
The winner is Bashi!
Putting bare tweets on saying that I've bought the Brit and all that, basically implying that I've won the Brit because I'm white.
The Brit Award for Hip Hop Grime Rap Act goes to Stormzy!
I set trends, don't like liars, hate fake friends. Don't like people who hate on Sims, but I do like jollof rice on the weekend. Does that mean anything to you?
Bruh, it's like 6:45 a.m. East Coast Standard Time. Do you know why I'm up early? Because I gotta interview a UK source. I'm Sayou Cooper, and this is the griots.
Contextually, I've been following a lot of those guys.
I think this is most places, but unless you make like a certain sound, then you can slide into these pigeonholes.
One of my first blog posts, I wrote about YT, And then I interviewed Len in like 2022.
So my new project, Dog Shit, that I declared it a mixtape, though obviously like it's only like 5 tracks, so technically an EP, but I would declare it like a mixtape. I would say it's my first proper mixtape.
We're working on this cover. Who do you think should be involved? I just like gave him my 2 pence, and he was like, "Oh, great, we want you to write it." But oh, cool, thank you.
It's a major city thing, but in this major city, I think a lot of people will tell you is like, there's I ain't trying to post bro, or I ain't trying to post this, or I ain't trying to post them, because it's like, I'm trying to get my own shit rolling. You know what I mean? There's not like a sense of like, yo, I just love what you do off the strength. Let's just work together. I mean, there's still stuff like that there. There's going to be that everywhere. But I think there is a big, I'm going to step on this person.
I think like it's nice to see that the new wave of like rap, or like the new wave of underground, is kind of taking a different shift from a grime and drill, just because I don't necessarily think that drill is terrible or like it's like the worst subgenre of hip hop, but me personally, I kind of got tired of it after like a few years in.
I'm not sure if it's how similar that is with the US underground, but like in the UK, these guys, like they'll be running up snippets, and like people will know their snippet before like the song comes out. Like,
Sweetie girls, you're loving, I reminisce. Wants to be a lover at your wedding ring. Anything that
the whole meme I did, me and my friends always laugh at it, where it's like, you blow up, you get underground rappers get 10K followers, they unfollow their man, they friends, they mama.
I think that like this new resurgence with the underground is definitely better. I feel like it defo has to come from like Lancey Foe.
Lancey! Woo! Lancey! Hi! He's so beautiful, isn't he?
If there was anyone to kind of like compare him to, he felt like Carti, and I feel like he's also having a similar influence that Carti had.
This project, where it's like a lot of like me asking myself like, all right, cool. Like, nah, I still feel like I'm cool, but maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Like, there's so many songs where it's just like, I'm just kind of going through that in my head. Like,
don't you wanna run if you could?
The whole him performing at Wireless with the Mendem. Did you see that discourse? Drills in the Mendem?
I'm not mad at people wanting to have fun. To be honest, I've never really been heavily interested in going to Wireless anyway, so it didn't bother me too much. But I just thought that if I were to be interested, I would probably be gutted, just because of like everything that happened last year. And then just to find that on Wireless, he's headlining all 3 dates, which I don't know if anyone else has done that, but I've never seen a headliner run all 3 dates. It's usually there'll usually be someone who may perform more than once, but that's usually only like at most twice. And even then, that's very rare, and it's usually only a certain type of artist. And for the most part, it's like you're only seeing one specific artist that one day, and then that's it. So to find him on all 3 dates makes sense for who it is. Do I personally like it? No.
I dropped a little album called Left Handed Bandit. Yeah, this is like a little self-produced joint.
It gets a bit emotional because, like, you know, growing up being like Black and Irish, as I said before, like a lot of your references are the UK. So it's like with a lot of the slang, like obviously we have stuff that we'd say, but like a lot of the slang would be like London slang. A lot of like the music would be like UK, London music. A lot of things, not necessarily borrowed, but it didn't feel like there was much that was like distinctly like Black Irish.
Between me and then my boy Els, so he's part of Glottis as well. So me and him used to be a duo in Ireland. So we used to do music together, and that was kind of how things were. So that's kind of how the whole like music side of it happened.
This one came out like later, but just because like he's meant to be dropping the second part this year. The tape from Sean Country is like really good. I love like the personality behind a lot of the rappers that he has on there with him, and like his collective along with Sam Witty, Forbes, and Ray to Ray, and just how they're able to almost like sidestep the typical sounds of UK rap, but also add some like alternative sounds to it. Like obviously they're not from London, so I feel like the like influence of grime or drill may be lessened, but the fact that they're still stepping away from what traditionally most people would expect from UK hip-hop, I find that interesting. So I'm excited for their release of the tape too.
To answer shortly, there needs to be improvements in media, 100%.
Defo a hard grind. I will say, I will take like accountability on my part, because I will say I started doing this from like 15.
It's been really good seeing platforms that actually prioritize and center these artists. So you have people like Trila, Lemme, I mentioned Slept On Me, Shadrach runs that, a really great guy and really putting on a lot of people.
But I didn't have like the equipment. I didn't really save up for it. I was kind of just like being like a kid doing kid stuff, where it's just like the moment you got money, you just spend it on something.
My entry point was like UK and US at the same time. But like when it was like 2016, 2017, bro, that's when like Migos, that's when I was heavy on, that's when I was like really like, but right now, I think I'm resonating more with the UK side of things.
Reporting from the east coast of the American Empire, I'm Sayou Cooper, and this is The Griots. I wrote and produced this episode. Our theme song for this season is Jaws by Suzuki-san. Our Instagram and other cool stuff can be found on our website. Links are always in the description. Thank you to the ancestors. Until next time.